When you make the arrest, do you have to go to the courthouse with them?
Not with them, but you, depending on the case, you have to go to court for the case. So sometimes, like the prosecutor will make, like if you have a bad record, the prosecutor will say, all right, we'll offer you, 6 months in jail, or you can take it to trial. If you lose, you're going to do 2 years in jail. So a lot of the times they'll either make a deal like that, or like let's say their record isn't bad and they got arrested for something stupid like disorderly conduct or something. Mm-hmm. Then they'll take, they'll give, all right, we're going to give you, because you have no record, we'll give you 6 months of probation. So then on something like that, I don't have to go to court. But some people want to gamble, like, geez, I don't want to do this much time in jail, so I'll take the chance and go before a trial.
So it's kind of like a plea bargain in a way?
Like the ones that take the deal is a plea bargain. That's exactly what that is. Yeah. But the ones that like say they're going, we'll give you 5 years of jail, or if you go to court, you get 8 years of jail if you go to trial. Some of them will say, screw it, and I'll take that. Let's go to trial and see what happens. Mm-hmm. So that, those are major, like those are felony cases, right? Yeah. Usually. But then there's a lot of them. Like I've been involved probably 15 or 20 homicides where I had to. Either I was part of the case or part of the arrest. So, so there are some bigger cases that you have to go to court with there.
How is it testifying in court?
That's a whole different animal right there, testifying in court, because there's a couple of things going on. One, you don't want to screw up yourself, and because, you get sworn in, anytime that you got to make sure you're telling the truth on everything you say. Yeah. So what happens is a lot of these times when you go to testify, it's a year after you arrested the person. And the only thing you have is your police report to go by. So remembering a lot of stuff is nerve-wracking on the stand. Defense attorneys always try to make you look kind of stupid. That's their trick. If you have a good case, they try to make you look stupid, or they try to, call into question your memory on things. So that's why it's important to make sure you write a good report, so that a year later when you're reading it, all those facts come back to your memory and you're like, oh, I remember what happened that night. So it's kind of nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I enjoy it. It's like a kind of like a challenge going against a defense attorney who's just, if you have a good case and you write a good report, they're just trying to, any trick to get you to slip up. That's all they're trying to do. So it's kind of, you're trying to outsmart each other. So it's nerve-wracking, but I enjoy it. It's fun to be up on the stand, I think.
Now, when you're on the stand, has the defense attorney has he ever made you freeze up, or?
No. Well, and I'll tell you why. I've never had a problem there because, again, I kept all my answers honest. If I don't remember, I just tell them that I don't remember. Sometimes they try to distract the jury with kind of stupid questions that have nothing to do with your case. Yeah. But that you have to answer well, I don't know that answer. But then the prosecution comes back and gets to come back at you again and, clarifies why I didn't know the answer to that. So I haven't frozen up with them. Like I said, I enjoy the challenge. They try to make you look silly, but I like making them look silly if I can, just by answering the right answers and answering them honestly. So.
As a police officer, do you need any special education?
Well, you start with a 6-month-long police academy. Really pretty difficult. You cram criminal law into it, constitutional law, first responder training. You go to driving school. That's 40 hours just of being at the track driving, learn how to drive a cruiser. You spend at least 1 week just doing firearms training. You do defensive tactics once a week for almost the whole 6 months. At the end of that 6 months academy, the last 2 weeks you go to, it's called applied patrol procedures, which is where they have role players come in and you have to go to scenarios all day long. It's almost like you're answering real calls. Yeah. But you go into these role players, take up certain roles, and they, some of them are like deadly force scenarios, some of them are just regular domestics that you go to, so that they give you a variety of training for that. So, but that's just the police academy. And as far as education goes, you know, obviously we have, most people go to college and get criminal justice degrees. There's numerous certification classes that we have to go to. Every year you have a 1 week that you go to, it's called in-service, where you have to get refresher on, you know, CPR. I have to get recertified on doing CPR every year. I have to get recertified on law, any law updates. Every year they just give you all the updates that have come out in that 1 year. Defensive tactics, we have to get updated once a year and get recertified on things. So there's a lot, and then usually they add any new stuff that's come out in the year that helps anybody in officers in their daily duties. Mm-hmm. They have, so every year there's like 1 day just of newer, thinking out of the box things like community oriented stuff and things like that. So that's just with that. Firearms, we have to do, as a department, we recertify and requalify twice a year with firearms. In my role with ATF, we actually qualify 4 times a year, and then I do another 2 times a year with the department. So I get to shoot and have to qualify 6 times a year. So there's a lot of training, a lot of certifications that you have to get. In addition to that, I've had additional classes that I volunteered to go through. Mm-hmm. I've been to an 80-hour narcotics investigator school. So it was 2 full weeks of just learning how to be, you know, learning things about how drug dealers work, how drug trafficking works, how to investigate it, how to write search warrants. I went to an 80-hour SWAT school, which is 2 weeks of, you know, it was a lot of fun stuff, but a lot of hard work being in SWAT school. I've gone to the motorcycle school, the operators course for police motorcycles. That was an 80-hour school also. So there's a lot of schools, and all of those things you keep having to get recertified on throughout the year. So,
how do you get promoted, and what is your rank right now?
Right now I'm a detective, which is, it's the same as a patrolman. We're on the same pay grade, same rank. Yeah. We just have different titles. So obviously I do investigations, whereas patrol guys work cruisers and do stuff on the uniform side. Mm-hmm. In order to get promoted, you have to take tests, or they have, for sergeant, you have to take a test. It's months of studying. It's like up to a year of studying basically for the test, and it only comes up every 3 years. That would be my next promotional level that I would be at. Mm-hmm. I haven't taken it yet just because I wouldn't have the same opportunities that I have now job-wise as far as what I'm doing. Generally, if I got promoted at this point, I would end up either on the early nights or late nights, working overnight shifts as a sergeant. Yeah. And that's not where I want to be family-wise right now. Yeah. So it's, but it's getting close to that because it all counts towards your retirement, yeah. Like how much money you make in retirement. And at the same time, after 17 years, I feel that I have enough experience to be a good sergeant at this point. So, you know, it's taken a while for me to feel comfortable and want to do that. So the only thing holding me back is the change of schedule. It's, you know, it's tough to go from working day shift and being with your family to, you know, not seeing them much. You work overnight shifts, you end up sleeping, you know, during time that you should be spending with your family. Mm-hmm. You still work details and overtime shifts, so you know that loses sleep time during the day, so you end up sleeping during the evenings before you go to work when you should be spending more time with your family. So it's kind of puts a strain on the family life, so you have to pick and choose the time to do it.
How do you manage your time as a police officer, a father, and a husband at home?
It's not easy. I average probably anywhere from 50 to sometimes 60 hours in a work week. It's hard because I coach baseball for the kids, I coach basketball. You know, we have an active family life where we do a lot of things together. And so basically you just don't stop. There's no days off. There's very little downtime. But, I mean, once you get used to running life like that, then that's the way it becomes.
Do you have to give up any family time?
Especially in the job that I'm in now. You know, when I work like details, which are, you know, uniform like road jobs or working in bars and stuff at night, yeah. Those are kind of scheduled, at least you know a little ahead of time. with the job I have now, working cases is, you know, whenever something happens, I can't plan it, so I have to. So a lot of times I'll be sitting here at home and I'll get a phone call and we have to take off and I'm gone for 4 or 5 hours doing surveillance, doing undercover stuff, doing, you know, putting informants out there, stuff like that. So it's a lot of spur of the moment. I lose a lot of time with my family because of that, but you know, at the same time, it's the job is rewarding that way. Like, but it's just unfortunate that's the way that business works. Is you're really on the bad guy schedule. When they go to do stuff, we have to be ready to go and to adapt to that. So.
Now you mentioned the certification classes earlier, but are those classes easy or?
No, well, some of them are because they don't change a lot year to year. Yeah. Some of the things like the firearms qualification or the defensive tactics, I'm instructors in both of those areas. I teach firearms, I teach the defensive tactics. So those classes are easy to me because obviously I'm teaching it, so I'm not necessarily teaching the class that I'm in because I have to go as a student anyway. But I already have my updates because I teach to these academy classes and stuff. But some of them, like the law stuff, sometimes it's confusing. CPR seems to change every single year for some reason. The Heart Association comes out with new ways of doing CPR, so that changes almost every year. So, you know, those are probably the tougher things, especially like on a medical side. Like when I used to be in uniform and work a cruiser, we were, you know, sometimes you beat the fire department or the ambulance to these calls and you had to have some knowledge of what you're doing. So those sometimes were more stressful than ever fighting the biggest guy in the world, was going to some medical calls, because if you're not up on it, you know, minutes or seconds can change everything when you're treating somebody with first aid stuff.
Now you mentioned to me earlier about riding a motorcycle during the summer. Do you enjoy that?
I love it. I've been on the Lowell Police motor unit for, it's going to be about 8 years now, and I'm actually on a regional unit. It's called NEMLEC, which stands for Northeast Massachusetts Law Enforcement Community. It's our council. It's basically all of northern Massachusetts, all the police departments that have motorcycles that are part of NEMLEC. We come together once a month for training, usually for about 8 months out of the year. The only time we don't really train is in the real bad winter months. Just it's not safe riding. If we don't have to, we don't. But I enjoy that. We go, we get called out like when the Bruins or the Patriots or the Red Sox win. Boston calls our unit in to assist them with crowd control and stuff like that. We go into Boston for the parades, like with all the championships we've had over the last 10 years. We go in for the parades and stuff. We basically assist the Boston motorcycles with their stuff. We got called out on the marathon bombing last year when they were hunting for Zanayev. The motor unit we got sent down to Watertown, and we were deployed out in the neighborhoods helping to search for that guy.
Now, is there any memorable stories that you have at this point in your career?
Well, the most memorable thing that I've had is I had to shoot somebody in the line of duty, and that was probably the most memorable thing. It's almost 12 years ago now. I went to a domestic call, and the man was attacking his family with a knife. And when I got there, I had no backup with me yet, but I could hear everybody screaming in the house. So I had to go in prior to my backup being there, and basically the guy attacked me with, he had a meat cleaver. It was a blade about 1 foot long and probably about 4 inches wide. And he came around the corner and was swinging it at me. And it was just me and about 12 members of his family standing behind me. And I drew my firearm and I gave him commands to drop it. And he didn't drop it, just kept advancing on me. And I shot him in the chest.
Now, in closing, would you choose to do the same career path again?
Absolutely, I would. It's the best job in the world. It's a different job every single day. I enjoy it. I tell anybody, if this is something that you want to do in law enforcement, to go for it. If that's what you choose to do, it's a great career. I love it, man. 17 years has gone in the blink of an eye. I don't know where the time has gone, and I'm already halfway done to my retirement, and it's going too fast for me. I just enjoy it that much.
All right.